Our race runner-up is Brad Keselowski. He drove the number 22 discount tire Ford for Team Penske. And Brad, just take us through your race out there today. Certainly a bang-bang finish there at the end.
Yeah, it's a pretty strong day. Got through that one green flag pit cycle, which really helped us get a little bit of track position towards the end that we needed. And then just kind of picking them off one by one as we made our way to the front and making some moves. Got some help from a couple different people. Got to the high lane, got stuck on the high lane on a couple of restarts, which was kind of frustrating, how it didn't work as well with the nationwide cars. But we got stuck up there and made moves, and with the help of Trevor and I'm trying to remember James Boucher, and then he got the penalty, which I think kind of set the tone for the rest of the race as far as what guys were looking at for driving their cars. From there, made it to the lead there on that move with the help of Trevor, and just kind of managing the lanes there until the yellow came out and set up the green-white checkered, and thought we had a shot to really pull it off. Obviously, we cleared the 7 on the restart, and he got a really, really strong push from the 6, and just it was too much for me to be able to hold off. And then we got obviously coming off of 4 and really all tight there, and Kyle wasn't able to stay with me and keep pushing, and just enough to give Regan what he needed to win. So all in all, a decent day. There was one point in time where I was stuck in the high lane where I thought we'd be lucky to have a top 10. From that perspective, happy to get second. As happy as you can be with finishing second. But, we've been really strong all speed weeks here, and we've come as close to winning all 3 races that you can that we've been in with the Unlimited and the duels, and then obviously here today. So a lot of momentum for tomorrow. I think my Cup car is probably the best car I've ever had here by a long ways, and try to focus on that.
Thank you, Brad. Joining us is our third-place finisher today, and that's Trevor Bayne. He drove the number 6 Advocare Ford for Roush Fenway Racing. And Trevor, just talk about your race out there this afternoon.
Well, our car isn't upside down, so that's a good day for us. You always stress out about these races because you have no idea which direction they're going to go. And the first quarter of the race, it went about like we thought. It was too wide, and everybody was all over the place. So we were trying to work our way forward from 31st. Saw it getting pretty crazy, and then I saw Brad and Matt Kenseth dropping toward the back and thought that looked like a pretty good plan. So I kind of followed suit with those guys. Came down pit road, had a little bit of a struggle there on the right front, and lost that lead pack, which turned out not to be a bad thing. The caution came out, and we were able to work our way up toward the front. It was a pretty calm day for us until the very end, probably the last 10 laps or so. Working with Brad there was pretty fun on the top, and it seemed like they had kind of stalled out, and then I was able to work my way up to the second position on the top row and give Brad a couple hard shoves there. It's so much different now. I feel like it took a lot less thought to tandem race. You just had to get on somebody's bumper and stay wide open, and that was kind of it. And now you really have to time your runs, try to figure out how to bounce off their bumper without crashing them, and not stay attached. So that was probably the biggest game we had to figure out. Worked pretty good with Brad. Should have chose the top lane there, bud. Yeah. I'm just kidding. It was a good finish there to the end. We were hoping, obviously, to be able to come out of here with a top 10 and a good points day when you're running for a championship. And, with a championship mindset every weekend, you hope for a good finish in one piece while being able to battle for the win. And that's what we did today. We had an opportunity the last lap to try to make a move and push the 7 there until I felt like I could try to pull down without losing any spots, and it was just a little too late. The middle closed up. But overall, our Advocare Mustang had a really strong day today, and we're pretty pleased with a third-place finish.
Very good. And our top Sunoco Rookie of the Year candidate is Ty Dillon. He finished in 7th place. And he drove the number 3 Bass Pro Shop Chevrolet for Richard Childress Racing. And Ty, certainly a very strong performance for you. You were up towards the front throughout the course of the race. Just tell us about your day out there today and how you thought your afternoon went.
Yeah, our Bass Pro Chevy was very fast. We were able to come from 23rd to second, and then we had a great pit stop, and then I made a mistake and was speeding on pit road and just kind of put us back in the hole. But luckily, Danny and the guys really put me together a fast car where we were able to come back through the field, and glad we stayed out of trouble. And you know, there at the end, it sucks to be so close to the front, but you're kind of just boxed in. I guess I was riding in 5th, coming off 4, and you just can't make any moves hardly. And that outside line got to coming, and it was pretty exciting. But I'm very excited to get a good finish coming out of Daytona. We're not in a hole to start the season. That's kind of what we wanted to accomplish, and we'll battle on through the rest of the year and hopefully battle for this championship.
All right, let's take questions now for Brad, Trevor, or Ty. If you have one, raise your hand. We'll start here with Pete and go over to Randy and then David. Pete, Randy, David.
Pete Pistone, MRN.com, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. Brad, you mentioned the penalty to Buescher. Is it safe to say you guys were pushing the limits of the rule until that happened, and then that helped you kind of figure out what you could do?
Well, it's safe to say race car drivers push the limits of every rule. That's what we do. We push the limits of ourselves, and we push the limits of those around us, and we push the limits of the sanctioning body. That's who we are, and that's, I think, what makes the sport so great. But yeah, we're obviously, I don't know where the limit is, but you know, obviously NASCAR made a rule where her determination that it was over it. So that's kind of what happened there.
Let's go over here to Randy to the far left.
Yeah, Randy Covert's Kansas City Star over here. A year ago, you and Reagan were also bearing down on the finish line. When, did any of what happened last year, can any of that go into your mind?
No, not really. No. Maybe it should have. I'm not that smart, and I got a terrible memory, so I wish I could give you something more exciting.
What a contrast to last year.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's not a bad place to be in, racing for the win with the same guy every year. You know, there's a lot of people that would feel lucky to have that chance, and I do as well.
Well, I'm referring to the aftermath.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad there wasn't the aftermath. Yeah.
Next question, raise your hand. Right here, Tom, and then my man SB Nation.
Tom Bowles, Athlon Front Stretch. This one's for you, Brad. The outside line in both the truck race and the Nationwide Series race seemed very difficult to come in. You were one of a few guys in either race that could really make that work. Is there anything going on with the Nationwide cars and the truck cars that make it a little bit more difficult for that groove to come in? Why is it taking so long for that line to get going?
Well, I think, Tom, it is the way it is because of, you know, the combination of the aero package and the track having as much grip as it does. You know, the Cup aero package is quite a bit different and a lot more sensitive to running the high lane. So you don't see that at the Cup level, but the truck and Nationwide level, the cars have, you know, quite a bit of grip, and they also don't seem to be as sensitive to the right side draft. So running the bottom of the track is, you know, just the shortest distance.
Let's go right there. Go ahead.
For Trevor and Brad, Jordan Bianchi, SBNation.com. Is there anything in the closing laps that you guys can apply tomorrow in terms of tactics or strategy? I know the aero package is different, the cars are different, but is there anything in terms of what lane to be in or how to approach the final laps? You need to be in front or behind?
You know, to the question before this one also, the lane choice. To me, it's whatever lane has the most cars is where you want to be at. It seems like that's where the momentum has gone. The Sprint Unlimited, the duels, the Nationwide Series, Truck Series. Most drivers in the Truck and Nationwide Series have chose the bottom because it is the shortest way around, and we don't have a handling issue like the Cup cars do. But if everybody were to go to the top lane would be the preferred lane to be in my opinion. And I think that's going to be the case tomorrow for the Cup race. If everybody groups up and decides they want to be on the bottom, and that'll be the place to be. If they all want to be at the top, then that's where you got to be. So you just can't do it on your own here, and that's what makes it so tough. As race car drivers, we're used to being in control and just, you know, us and our crews trying to figure out how to make our car as good as possible and using our ability to get to the front. Here, if you make a move and nobody goes with you, you're in trouble. So I think we've learned a little bit about it as far as the bumping and pushing. If I were to hit somebody tomorrow like I was pushing Brad when we were going to the lead there, that'd be turned sideways across the front of the field, and that's just due to the bumpers not being lined the same way as they are in Nationwide cars. So it is a little bit different tactics. You know, I think we do push the limits as race car drivers, like Brad said. But, you know, all the while, we were being very intentional today about not hooking up. To me, I really had to think about that because there are a lot of times that I just wanted to get to somebody's bumper and stay there. I had somebody pushing me. just like at the very end of that race down the backstretch, the 11 cars bumping me, and it would have been very easy to stay on the back of that 7 car. But I knew I had to at least get a paper-thin air gap in between us or we could be in trouble. And so that's jumping on the brakes a little bit, backing up and timing that run to be able to push into the finish. And, that's very complicated. I don't know if it'll work the same way tomorrow, but you can bet it'll be an exciting finish tomorrow for sure.
Mark Long, and then come up here to Mike.
For Brad or either one of you guys. Brad, TV seemed to catch you at least maybe, I don't know if you were scratching your head or whatever, but to the national anthem, your reaction. Anything there?
Well,
did it have all the right words in it? We're good to go.
I wish they'd just sing the damn song. That's my reaction.
Let's go to
I'm glad somebody else was up here too.
Greg Engel. Greg Engel, and then to Mike.
Greg Engel, Examiner.com. Brad, how did you feel? Two-part question. How did you feel when you actually bumped Reagan to the lead, and you saw him drop down, and there he kind of left you hanging, so to speak? And also tomorrow on the last lap, do you want to be in first or second?
Well, the Cup cars are way different, so I wouldn't take anything from today and say that's what you're going to have tomorrow. But Reagan did what he had to do. It's referring to when he dropped down in front, and that's just being a smart racer. You're not going to get very far in life if you sit and dwell on things like that.
Would you want to be first or second tomorrow from the last lap?
I want to be in the lead every lap.
Let's go to Mike right here.
Mike Nutt from frontstretch.com. This one's for Ty. On the last restart, you were pretty far back, and with 2 lanes pretty packed together, what do you have to do, or how are you able to get people out of your way to work your way as far forward as you did?
Are you talking about after the penalty there?
After the last, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Just when you're that far back and you're behind all those cars, and lucky enough, you're far enough back where you can get a big draft up to the pack, and I was able to use my momentum and just pick the right lines. And I think we got up to probably 14th or 15th just off, switching from line to line. And then once we got to 14th, kind of just rode on the bottom, and whatever line I was choosing, I just stayed in it and didn't switch. And a lot of people get a little anxious and try to move lines and get shuffled to the back. And just by staying patient, I was able to work my way back up to, I guess, the top 8 or 9 or whatever it might have been. And then we got to the outside and jumped up to, I think, 5th. And that was just a product of staying patient with our line. I have a great spotter, Billy O, who really helped me navigate. And also a fast car helps too.
Right behind you, Andrew.
Dwight Drum, RaceTake.com. Trevor, you can probably remember not starting out at the beginning of the season. Well, how do you think it'll resonate with your team, and how long do you think it'll last?
Well, last season we were running about 2nd or 3rd in this race, right up there with Brad, and we had a gear come apart. So we left this race with a 30-point deficit, and you know that you can't have many of those days and run for a championship. You have 3 of those days and you're 90 points behind for simple math there for me, but you just cannot do that. We had a few of those last season, and they're bound to happen, but you have to manage that, and I felt like we did a good job of that today, and definitely gives us a little bit more momentum going into Phoenix and places like that. Obviously, it's out of control here, or out of your control here. We could have just as easily finished 30th today as we did finish 3rd and not done a thing different in the race car, just been in the wrong place at the wrong time. Same thing with the Budweiser duels. With the 21 car, we knew we had to race in, and the last lap crash, Clint Boyer missed me by a foot. It could have been just as easy that he caught me and turned me into the fence, and we would have missed the Daytona 500. So to come out of here, I feel like it's a huge blessing, and to be 3rd place, I seem like I just won the thing because I'm excited, but that's because we're looking at a big picture kind of deal this season, and that's something I've never really done before. I kind of go race to race and try to go for the win every single time and put myself in positions I probably shouldn't be in a lot of the time. That's not to say at Phoenix, if it's the last lap and we're battling for the lead, I won't put myself in a bad position because we're racers, and that's how we're wired, is that we go for it when it counts. And today I feel like we did that. Like I said at the beginning of this, we want to be as safe as we can with good results, but still battling for wins every single weekend. And, to come out of here with a good points day, that's going to give us a little bit of a break later on in the season when you do have that bad day, because it's bound to happen.